welcome back, and sorry about the brief interruption, but we're back now, and we're going to go by popular demand to the game between Thomas Paehtz and Harika Dronavalli. Thomas Paehtz, who caused one of the major or the main upset of round one when he beat Wang Hao from China. He's playing against Harika Dronavalli, who held Wesley So to a draw in round two, and she was also the best women player in the tournament here last year. So let's have a look what's happening there.
Yeah, so we picked the game up, very quickly. It was a French defense, and the line that Harika played is a line which I played a lot myself, and it's a very interesting line. This knight to f3 move is now the trendy way to play for white. It's the so-called, I think they call it the universal system, and a lot of top players play it. Mickey Adams plays it, so does Grishchuk. He played against me in lots of blitz games actually once, Grishchuk. And it's a very tricky line for black to face. Now, knight to c6 castles, and the move that Harika played here is for a long time been the main move, surprisingly enough, and I remember even writing about it in French book I did something like 6 years ago, so it's not a new move, and it looks like quite a risky move, but it makes a lot of sense, because in the French defence you're always trying to attack this d4 pawn as black. That is one of the major weaknesses, especially when white goes e5. So how do you be queen b6? But in this position, white has a number of dangerous sacrifices. You give this pawn up. I think the main line is rook e1, and black can take this pawn. You can win this pawn, and it's a bit like the Milner Barry gambit. Get it right, I should know it. Yeah, and win knight to f3, and white gets fantastic compensation here. So it was then found that g5 is actually a very interesting dynamic move, and it's not just to go crazy on the king's side, it's to divert the knight on f3 away, so you loosen the d4 square, so it's quite positionally founded. I've had sort of, I used to love this idea, but then I used to hate this, and then I kind of hate this idea, because where do you put your king? Even if you win a pawn, it's a bit like, where do I put the king? I mean, I might win a pawn in the centre, but it's really hard to castle now. The next move is one of the main moves. There's a number of moves here, but this has always been the most testing moves, opening up the position, because black has nowhere to put the king. And a lot of options for black here. g4 is probably the best theoretical option. The knight comes into the centre, and again, black has options. I actually had this position against David Howe with black, and I took here with this knight once, trying to get time to take the other pawn. Very confusing position, because it is very complicated. There's pieces everywhere, and there's a lot of pawns on pre. Harika has gone for the knight on d takes, which probably seems more natural because your bishop has a square here, and now bishop to b5, and this is again I think the main option here. Now bishop takes c5. I think there may be a problem with this one, and I think the problem could be something with f4. For example, I think I've lost a horrible game like this as well. At some point, you win a pawn, but white suddenly goes f4. You kind of have to take on pass on, because that c6 square is now being attacked by two white pieces, so you probably have to take on pass on, but then you open up the f-file towards the king, and white's pieces start flowing to the game. Even though white's pawn down, it's a very, very dangerous position to play with the black king here. Where does the black king go? So I think that's a problem. So bishop d7, and now I always thought some plan with b4 was correct here, just to go b4. And I think taking on c6 even, and going b4 is a very good option here. But instead, knight to b3 was played. And now h5, guarding the pawn on g4, potentially opening up the white king later. I'm not sure about this knight b3 move. Rook e1, pressurizing the center, still very unclear. The knight goes back to g6. This is often a good, safe maneuver, because now your e-pawn can try to move forwards. And even though your king's in the center, you can still use your pawns, and black does have this pawn majority. Knight takes c6, Okay, so that allows another black pawn to come towards the centre. White's idea is bishop d3, and if you can get rid of that knight, that will destroy black's pawn structure. So now I think a very clever move from black here, and that is f5. And you can see these pawns. I mean, if you get a couple more moves, look at that pawn. If those pawns come forwards anymore, it's risky. So is the black king weak, or is it actually quite safe here? Is it weak or is it quite safe? And are these pawns going to move? Let's have a look. Knight d4. Are these pawns weak or strong? That's the other question. Are they going to be attacked? And white is attacking them. King f7 now played. This is black's idea to try to castle kind of artificially. And we can see that the e-pawn can't move because f5 will be lost with the two pieces attacking f5. And now Thomas has just played b4, making sure he guards this one. And now bishop f6. And it seems to me that Harika is slowly getting safe here. And as soon as this king gets safe, maybe rook e8's come, the pawns could well start moving forwards. I mean, I might even try something like queen c8 to guard f5 and e5, something like this idea here. I really, you know, if I can get e5 in at the right moment, it's pretty much game over. But at the moment, white is holding back that advance. So I still quite like black's position, I think, here, because you can also maybe transfer now to, you can even play something over here, h5 and h3 could create a weakness. So I think I quite like black here. I don't know. What would you say?